morning, this is Rob G. Welcome to Savvy. Today I want to talk to you about why do you do what you do? And I know that this question does not get asked a lot. I watch a lot of YouTube videos by people in the branding field, people in the business ownership, entrepreneurial field. And if you're more towards the entrepreneurial end, you probably have answered this question, or at least asked this question of yourself before, so it's not totally unfamiliar. But if you're a designer and you were trained and educated as a designer and not so much a business owner, so maybe you have a job and you go there from 9 to 5 and you perform, or if you work for an agency from 9 to whenever they tell you you can leave, then maybe you haven't asked yourself this question. But there is a great book that I read some years ago, and it's called Start With Why. It's by Simon Sinek. And it is one of the most fantastic books I've ever read for really getting to the heart of our motivation, of why we do the things we do. And the tip here is it's not always what you think. You know, you ask most people why they do what they do. Why are you a designer? Well, I love to design. Yeah, I mean, that's probably close to the truth. I mean, at least there's the a motivation of I like the work, okay? But ultimately, why are you doing that? What is it for? So if a business coach were to ask you this question, he might be looking for a different kind of answer that is so deep down, he wants to reveal it to yourself so you can focus on what's your long-term goal, okay? Not just where am I going to work tomorrow and where am I going to vacation this summer, which, you know, are kind of a byproduct of your long-term goal, because they should fall in line. So before I get too far down into the line here, I want to ask you this. If you're a designer, why did you become a designer? You know, for me, my story is I actually fell into it. It was not something that I pre-planned. I had gone to college for 1 year. It was my freshman year. It was a liberal arts program because I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but my parents said, hey, you need to go to college. And I didn't disagree. You know, I felt education was important beyond high school. And for sure back then, it was always mandatory. It was the beginning of it being mandatory, let's put it that way. So I went, and after close to a year, this is funny. I come home one day and my mom shows me a piece of mail. And the local community college had sent around their curriculum for the upcoming semester. And she thumbed through it and she said, hey, what about graphic design? And I went, what's that? And I remember immediately my mind went back, because I said, what's graphic design? She said, well, it's kind of like there's advertising and there's designing logos. And my mind immediately went back to a television show that I used to watch when I was a little kid. And the man on the show of the family, he would walk into the house at the end of the night and he'd carry this big, it wasn't a briefcase, but it was a big flat case. And he would walk into a room in his house and it had a drafting table, you know, set on an angle with a lamp over it. This is real old school stuff, by the way. And he would open it up and he would pull out hand-drawn ads, things that were comped up, and logos. And I thought, that's what I want to do. So it wasn't long, I signed up for the graphic design program at the local community college. And there was my decision what I was going to do for the rest of my life, you know. Happened in a matter of 2-minute conversation. So I kind of fell into it, but I did fall in love with it. And I've always been doing it. So why did I do that? Hey, it sounded like a good thing and it looked good on the TV show. So that was my why. I started out because I was influenced by somebody who was doing it, even though it was fake and it was on TV, but it wasn't far from the truth. So that's how I became a designer. But why did I do it? Well, it was so unclear to me back then anyway. But the fact of the matter is that the skill sets that I learned, you know, when you become a designer, the education you get, the tools you learn, these start actually sending you down a path for maybe something bigger that you don't even know what it is yet. Let me ask you this. If you're a business owner, and if you're a designer who owns a business, or if you're an entrepreneur of something else and you happen to be watching this, well, welcome, I'm glad to have you here. But why did you start your own business? Are you a bad employee? And by that I mean, do you find it hard to take direction from somebody else and have them make all the decisions and you have to carry them out? That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about as to, are you a bad employee? Not are you a bad worker, because there's a big difference. But why did you start your own business? Is it a feeling of control? Is it a feeling of, because I knew in this industry that you started your business in, that you could earn more money? So is money a driving factor? Okay, so some of these are probably two of the most popular reasons that I've heard for why people start their own business. But ultimately, that's not really why either. So you've always got to drill down to the real question. And if you're a fan of Tony Robbins, he talks about this kind of thing, getting down to your core motivation and why you're actually doing what you're doing. I recommend you read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, because he's very concise. He will help you find out your innermost motivation and why it drives you the way it does, so that you can harness that power and move forward towards your long-term goal. Now, your long-term goal, if you haven't thought about it, this might be deep stuff, but your long-term goal, see, it was a quote I heard a long time ago, and it said, if you don't know where you're going, you might not like where you end up. And for me, when I looked around at so many other people who were just living an average lifestyle, which I'm not putting down, by the way, but middle class, get a job, contribute to your 401k, take a vacation once or twice a year, get up, go to job, 9 to 5, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, go to sleep, wake up, repeat, 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 repeat. That to me did not sound great. And again, I don't put that down, but people, the average person doesn't think about their long-term goals and how they want their life to be. See, when I became a designer, I was doing that. I mean, I did that for a long time. But deep down, there was always something missing as to, well, isn't there more to life than what I'm doing? Isn't there more to it? I mean, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to walk into an office building and sit in the same chair for 40, 50, 60 years and, possibly lose that job and have to go find another one. That's not, that was a very negative feeling that I got when I thought about that. So your long-term goals are something that need to be thought about as to how ultimately do you want to live. When you get down the road, if you're in your 20s and you get into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, and by the way, average lifespan for a male these days, I think it's up to 82, average. So chances are you're going to live well into your 80s and you're going to be productive at least well into your 70s. So where do you want to be down at that point? All right? Think about that. And when I looked at it, for me, it was this. It was the long-term goal. It was the idea of having more control over my time and my finances through business ownership. Because ownership is the key thing there. When you own something, it's yours. Nobody can take it away. You drive it either into the ground or up to the sky. So that to me was going to fit in nicely with my long-term goal. My long-term goal was to be able to have flexibility of time and the ability to set my own rates. So down the road, I know I said, and it sounds like a contradiction, where you're gonna spend a lot more time and a lot more work in your own business, but I'll tell you, working in your own business, it doesn't feel like work. I've never been more excited at the things I have to do to build a business because, again, I'm creating it and they're my decisions. So that's it. We're gonna wrap that for today. Get the book Start With Why. Start thinking about your long-term goals and why you're doing what you're doing every single day. If you don't know why, delve into it all the more. Find out why. because ultimately it's your life and you want to be able to live it on your own terms. This is Rob G. Remember, always be learning and always stay savvy. Thanks for watching.